Wow, bro. Fucking wow.
Hey, Lucy, you ready to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 1?
You know what? I think I am. You were just, like, fast as the wind right there.
Thank you.
It's like an airbender skill.
Thank you. I have certain inspiration. Okay, so today we are talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of, in my opinion, one of the best animated shows out there. We're only going to be talking about the first season because there's so much to unpack. But yeah, we're just going to start off with it. I'm going to try and edit this video, so we'll see. So, me and Lucy have both. You'll have to excuse Lucy. She's eating her cottage cheese right now.
Multitasking is a skill that's underrated and undervalued. So continue forward.
The structure for how we're going to be doing shows is a little bit different from movies. We are going to be there's 20 episodes in the first season of Avatar.
Which was more than I thought.
Yeah, it's definitely more. I thought it was going to be like 16 or something, but
Which I was
20
cool
episodes.
With. Yeah, it was good.
What we decided to do was we chose each of us 5 episodes, and we don't know each other's list. There are 5 episodes that are our personal favorites out of the 20. It was hard to choose from. It was hard to nail down.
Difficult.
But today we are going to be.
We're still allowed the honorable mentions, right?
Yes, we're still allowed.
Okay,
that'll be at the end.
Because
That'll be at the
it's
end.
very difficult to choose.
Yes, but we're each gonna relay each other our favorite episodes. We're gonna talk about them a little bit, and we're just gonna see how much they line up. But first, before we start off with that, Lucy, would you like to explain the plot of the first season of Avatar?
I would say that the plot of the first season, just as like a whole, is basic character. I'm just trying to think. I'm like, because it's basic character development, but it's. So I'm gonna back up. So the plot is, Katara and her brother have found Aang, who is the last Airbender, the long lost Avatar, and they are trying to help him find the other element masters so that he can fully become the Avatar.
Perfect. That's the plot.
That's the plot, right? So
to start off, Lucy.
We're talking about characters first or scenes?
Heads or tails?
Okay. No, did we want to go over characters or just,
We're just
go
gonna
for
dive
it?
right in.
All right, I'm gonna go tails.
Tails, okay. Heads.
All right, all you.
I'm
bro.
gonna defer to you.
Damn.
You start off.
All right. So, I know we were talking about doing the episodes in order of like saving the best for last, so I'm going to attempt to do that. One of my first picks is probably The Great Divide.
Okay.
I really like that episode because it's a cute episode that touches on bigger topics. Like, so do you know which episode I'm talking about?
Yes, two groups.
The two groups, they're trying to get through that valley, and
high
they're
class, low class.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep. You have very hoity-toity group 1 and very ruffian barbarian
Yeah.
group 2. There are 2 competing tribes that have had an ancient rivalry for 100 years, and they hate each other's guts, and they just can't stand each other. And then at the end of the episode, after everything happens, they end up working together to save each other out of the valley, and they talk about the. I wrote down their names. It was like Quinlan. Oh, I cannot remember the 2 names, but the 2. Do you know what they are?
No, but I feel like they're written down on a piece
of
paper somewhere.
They are on a piece of paper somewhere. They are in my house. But it's like Quinn Lee, I think, or something like that, and it was him and his brother, and they were playing a game, and this game got blown into a topic of, well, you did something wrong, no, you did something wrong, and in reality, it really wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, and that disagreement throughout the ages just created 2 divides of people.
Oh yeah, like the immediate, because the story that Aang tells them, which is a lie.
He lies to them.
He lies to them.
It makes peace, so
but
it's worth it.
But it creates peace over something that's super silly. So he creates a game where these 2 brothers are playing You know, one of the young brothers dropped the ball, the other one grabbed the ball, went out of bounds, and got put in timeout for 2 minutes. Well, that story evolved to it was a sacred orb that was stolen.
It's like a generational game of telephone.
Yeah, exactly. It was a sacred orb that was stolen, and then he was put in jail for 20 years unjustly. So it goes from a small incident to something massive when unnecessary. You guys all have the same goal.
It also has Aang kind of. It's kind of the first time in the show that he kind of has to become the mediator.
The peacemaker.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because he's the Avatar. That's what
his job.
That's what his job is. And they even say it at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
They even say it like, well, you wanted some practice. Here you go. Because at the beginning of the episode, Katara and Sokka are fighting over something.
So it's like and they're also she's a little more hoity-toity. He's a little more barbaric, and it just expands on that more.
Well, and then Momo and
Appa
are fighting over that melon.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Come on, you gotta be fair." Like, so
Appa's got 7 stomachs.
Yep. I think it's 5. I think, but yes, he's massive. Momo, you're gonna be okay.
So you just like it as an overall good episode? Any moments in particular that you were like, this is why it's making my list, or overall just fun episode?
Well, I like it because it's a fun episode, but it became my episode that I picked as like my starter one because Aang said, "Well, he lied."
Okay, fair enough.
By him saying, "Well, I lied, I made it up," they're like, "What? You would never do that." And he's like, "Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever think, I would do that, and I'm not doing it with malintent. I want these groups to work it out and figure it out. You guys were already getting along. The only thing you keep going back to is we can't rewrite history." Well, I can, because I'm 112 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
So, actually, we're going to go with
that.
Like,
not that big of a deal.
Not that big a deal. That's why it makes my list, because it's a very representative of Aang's growth throughout the seasons. He is a young kid in this season who has to get put into positions where he's organizing groups, tribes that have had a argument for over 100 years, and he's 12 years old.
Yep.
So I really feel like it puts in perspective, like, he's still really young, and he's still learning.
He's still figuring it out.
Like Katara and Sokka are both older than him.
Yep.
He is the youngest one in the group. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
That's why I picked it, though, is because he's starting to find his shoes.
Oh, fun episode. I'm just going to start off at the beginning. One of the episodes that made my list is episode 1. Boy in the Iceberg.
Start it off.
So there's a couple reasons why I picked this episode, but I think the number one reason I picked it was because well, technically it's 2 parts, but I'm only picking the first part. The second part's still good, but the first part doesn't take any breaks at all. Every thing of dialogue, every decision they make is all laying the groundwork for what the show is. Yep. So, first intro. It's the only different intro in the entire show. First minute 20, all the world building you need. It's... Yep. There used to be 4 elements. They used to live in harmony. Fire Nation is attacked. They're on the brink of winning the war, basically. There was an Avatar. He disappeared. It's been 100 years. Like, it sets all of the groundwork in a nice way through Katara. It also sets Katara as, like, her and Sokka have been spending time in their little isolated village for many years. So it just lays all the groundwork, which I love. Because it just, the world building is just like, this show, the reason it can expand is because they started with that little world building and just kept building it.
Well, and it really shows that first episode, too. It's like the Fire Nation, like it says you're introduced, but it shows that, this is a small little world. They seem like they're isolated and away from everybody, but even they have been greatly affected by what's going on.
Every corner of the world has been affected by the Fire Nation.
Which gets hit on.
So not only does it set up the world building, it also sets up characters and how they relate to each other, which I love. First scene you get, Sokka and Katara in a boat together.
Yep.
And it's just classic sibling kind of
Yeah.
rivalry. It immediately establishes that Katara can bend, but Sokka can't. And Sokka, it immediately establishes, like, oh, this magic thing. He's much more analytical. He's much more cynical. He's much more, like, whatever. And Katara is very, like, oh, like, I actually kind of believe in this whimsical stuff, this hope stuff, whatever.
Why would I not? Like...
And you see their dynamic. And then, as soon as it introduces Aang, Katara, the one who actually believes in hope, is the one who awakens Aang.
Yep.
So that's cool. And then when Aang comes out, it's immediate. I mean, they just do such a good job of characterizing every person in the show that you're going to grow with. So they establish Katara as someone who's hopeful. They establish as Sokka as comedy relief and someone who's analytical. They establish Aang as someone who just represents freedom, happiness, and optimism. They establish Zuko as someone who is hell-bent on his honor. And they establish Iroh as a more wisdom character. He's on the Fire Nation's side, but his first dialogue is, it's a little comedy, and he's there teaching Zuko. So you just get all these characters, and right off the bat, you get a really strong sense of who they are and what their goals are and how they view the world, which is, it's great. It's a great stepping point off.
Set up the nephew-uncle dynamic.
Yes,
too.
exactly.
It's like, uncle, it's just like, oh, you're not just, like, his sensei, like, you're his uncle as well. Like...
So, a couple of scenes I really like that made it number one episode, or not number one, but on my list, is, again, they add little bits. Every piece of dialogue just either adds to the world or to the characterization. So, let's see. What is it? For the sledding scene, where Katara and Aang go sledding, penguin sledding.
Oh, that is a good scene.
I love it because, they go off and they, this is all Aang wants to do. Katara's talking to him, all that stuff, and then they go sledding. And she says, I haven't had this much fun since I was a kid.
Yep.
And he says, well, you are just a kid.
You are
and it's just
still a kid.
It's just a little thing of dialogue, but it shows like Katara hasn't been able to be a kid ever since their mom died, which they also mentioned in the episode.
Yep.
She has had to take a motherly role
for
the
time.
Tribe, basically.
Yeah.
Sokka and the Tribe. And she's actually getting to experience what she should be experiencing, kid stuff, and Aang is kind of the freedom for that.
It also shows how out of touch Aang is with everything that's going on.
Yeah, he's 100 years late.
Like, he is completely carefree, and that is about to change. So that penguin scene is like the last scene where you have no worries.
Yeah, and then there's also little bits and pieces where Sokka is training the younger generation of men, and I think Sokka's whole character arc throughout the show is really what it finds to be a man and a leader. And that I love Sokka. But that first episode where he starts, where he's just like, Fire Nation might come, and we must protect the one we love, or else how can we call ourselves men? Yeah. Great setting off point for him. Because, again, he is a comedic character, but there's a real heart and soul to Sokka.
There is.
That they really expand on.
They do.
So that's why I made my list. Just every character's super strong. You understand where all their viewpoints are, where all their motivations kind of are. And you get to see them start to interact. And it's really a treat when you know what's to come. Of just being like, humble beginnings going to something much larger.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it shows Sokka's real desire to...
He wants to be a leader. He wants to protect.
I want to be a leader.
Yeah.
I want, want to be the man that my dad wanted me to be.
Exactly.
And you really do see that.
Which they also set up in the first episode, that they say that their dad's off fighting the war.
Yeah.
So... Yep. Anyway, that's one of mine. Back to you.
That's a good one. Okay, so I think my next one, I'm probably going to do the King of Amashu.
Okay, that's the third episode, right?
That's the...
Boomy.
Yeah, it's the Boomy episode.
Yes.
I can't remember which episode it is, but that's the episode I think I'm going with.
Actually, it might be fourth, but...
Yeah, I was like, I think it might be 4th or 5th, but the Boomy episode.
Boomy! Everybody loves Boomy.
First off, Boomy is fucking amazing, and I love him. And this is the first time we meet him, so that's a huge reason. Second reason, I'm kind of hitting on the fact that Aang is 112 years old. Everyone sees him as a kid, and up to this point, we've had a couple, like, encounters with other people. This is the first time we've had an encounter where it's like, no, they were friends, are friends, and have known each other for a long, long time. So, Boomy figures it out right away. But instead of
because he's technically seeing the same kid he knew.
Yeah. He's like having almost like an Alzheimer's like moment where he's like, what the hell?
You literally have not aged a day.
Yeah, I hate you. Like, you literally are exactly the same as the last time we played. So he puts Aang through this trials and tribulations of you need to save your friend. So not only is he testing Aang's abilities as as an airbender and as the avatar, but he's also messing with him because Katara and Sokka are never actually in danger.
Yeah. It's like an elaborate prank that will teach you things.
That's exactly what it is.
Literally
He literally pranks Aang the whole time, and even at the end, it's like, what about this? It's like, it's rock candy.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally nothing of danger, but he forces Aang to figure it out on his own. Yeah. Because at this point, everyone's like, well, you're the avatar. This is where we need to go. This is our direction. Because Katara and Sokka have been in this world, so they know what's going on. They're like, okay, this is kind of the direction that we should go.
They're also older and they've had to care for themselves.
Yep.
Katara's got such a mother complex.
Very much so, which takes her a long time to break.
We'll get more into that, but I fucking love how... I don't think she breaks it. I think she expands on it and becomes a badass mother.
She just develops
basically.
It. Well...
Because there's a difference between an overbearing mom and a mom being like,
I mean, the King of Mashu, that's why I like that episode, because I really think it gives Aang a chance to... You gotta figure it out.
Think outside the box.
You gotta figure it out. Like, you have your friends here, but they're not able to help you right now.
Yeah.
You need to create your own leader. You need to do this.
No, I agree.
And it's Boomy.
Back to my turn. I think I'm not going to put these in any order because I can't choose which one I like best.
I get it.
Next is The Storm. I love The Storm. So it's episode 12. This episode is when... a lot of the episodes throughout the first season, and probably other seasons, they parallel Zuko and Aang a lot throughout the episode. So they either switch stories of what Aang's dealing with versus what Zuko's dealing with. And The Storm, I think, is one of the strongest episodes that does that. So basically, plot of the episode is Aang is kind of dealing with the guilt and shame of being away for 100 years.
Yeah.
And
very much
Zuko is dealing with the guilt and shame of his banishment.
Yep.
And so episode starts off, beautiful day, all this fun stuff.
I'm listening.
I'm gonna smack that phone. I'm gonna smack that phone.
I can multitask, Gabe.
Lizzie.
Parallel. I'm listening.
Parallel.
I'm listening. 100 years.
Just talking to someone who's on their phone, it just makes
I'm
me feel
literally
it
listening.
makes me feel like you're not listening
Literally
to me.
listening.
And I just want to talk to you about the first season of Avatar. And if you can just put your phone away from me,
you need to learn editing. You need to learn editing so we can cut all this BS out.
I'll try. Anyway, The Storm.
What is it? Aang starts with feeling he keeps getting nightmares about being late, basically.
Yeah, and not
how,
being there in time.
Like, where were you, Aang? So starts off with that, and then it starts off with Zuko having kind of trouble with his crew because his crew thinks he's a stuck-up rich boy,
which he is
basically.
at this point.
Well, he's not even that, but he's too determined. But either way, so both starts off in kind of that spot. Aang goes on the journey of they're trying to find money for food. Sokka picks up a job at a boat, and the fisherman says, "Oh, you have the tattoos. You must be the Avatar."
Yep.
And Katara chimes in, and she's all like, "Yes, he is. Oh my God, how impressive!" And they're all like, and he's like, "What are you smiling about it for? What? You abandon us."
Like, where were you?
And Aang kind of takes a step back, and Katara tries to defend him and goes, "Well, Aang's the best person I know. You know, he never would have abandoned anybody." And he's just like, "Well, I must have imagined the last 100 years of war and suffering."
Yeah.
And Aang feels this massive amount of guilt
weight. Yeah, this
because he
weight.
was told he was the Avatar.
Yep.
He was threatened to be taken away from his home, so he ran away. So technically, it is his fault that all of this stuff happened.
Right.
Now, Katara brings up, you know, if you stayed, you would have been killed in a fire attack or a fire
Right. It
nation
probably
attack.
wouldn't have been.
So
yeah.
it is what it is, but the point of the episode is to not dwell what was and to focus on what is, which is a lesson that Monkey Atsu teaches him earlier in the season, but it's one of the lines he says, which is, you know, Aang's mentor.
Right.
Zuko is dealing with almost the same thing. He is just riddled with guilt and shame because he went to a war meeting with his father and other generals.
Yeah.
One of the generals proposes, "Hey, let's send all these new recruits to this place, to the Earth Kingdom, as a distraction, basically. And, you know, they're just gonna be cannon fodder."
Right.
And Zuko speaks up, "That's not right. They love our nation just as much as we do, and you can't do that to them." Since he spoke out,
Can't sacrifice
yeah,
them
since
like
he
that.
spoke out in the war room, his father challenges to him Adney Kai and severely punishes him
Right.
and bans him.
Yep.
So it gives more character development and backstory to Zuko and Aang because they're both dealing with just shame. Basically, the only difference is Aang represents hope and he's able to get out of it. Zuko is still stuck in the past and can't focus on what is. He is only focused on returning to his life as he knew it, but it's never going to return to that.
Oh, yeah, never.
And there's even a line, one of the lines that made it one of my top picks, is earlier in the episode, Katara says, Aang gives everyone hope. Gives everyone hope. The Avatar is there for hope. Mm-hmm. And later in the episode, when Iroh is telling the crew about Zuko's past, he says, the Avatar gives Zuko hope.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, and they just kind of turn that on the head because it's not the hope you're expecting. It's the hope of, I just want to regain my honor. And so I really like that even though it's twisted, Aang provides that kind of hope for everyone,
right,
including Zuko.
I don't know if I'd agree with, like, it, like, you need to get over the past and then move forward. Like, yes, that's obviously something, but I think that the episode was also trying to really put on the sense of, like, these things happen and they have real weight to them. Mm-hmm. So it really defines who these characters are. Like what you were just saying when Aang first got there, that, oh yeah, it's so great that he's the Avatar. And it's like, it's really not though. Because you abandon us and you've been gone.
It's a very serious question that lesser kid shows would overlook. Like, oh, we don't have to pay attention to that part. I really like that they bring up, like, what the hell?
Right, we don't have to talk about the fact that you're gone for 100 years. We're just happy that you're back. Well, no, you being gone 100 years actually really affected everybody in a big way. And it's not fair of you to think, oh, we're just so happy you're back. What happened? When did it go out?
I don't know. But we're just going to stick to it. We're going to edit things. Who knows? I should have had it turned towards here so I could tell.
What? the hell
It's
happened.
okay. We're going to have to watch the playback, but either way.
Oh my god.
One more thing I would like to add about this episode is I like how it parallels Zuko and Aang, as in Aang is avoiding responsibility. Zuko tried running headfirst into it. And they're both products of children and war.
Yep.
And I really like that each of their character arcs go in different directions, because Aang, the only reason he was told so early was because the Fire Nation was starting to make heavy hits, and they were like, we were going to tell you at 16, but some concerning things are happening with the Fire Nation, like this is beginning of war, so you're going to have to speed up your process. And he ran from his responsibility. Zuko was way too eager to enter the war room, and he got burned by it, literally.
Well, and I don't know if he was too eager to enter the war room. I bet his dad probably wanted him there.
In the episode, he tries to get in, and a guard stops him, and Iroh has to convince the guard to let him in.
Like, go ahead and just let him in.
Yeah, well, because he's just like, they won't let me in the war room. And Iroh's like, these meetings are boring. Like, you don't want to come to these. Like, they're too much. He's like, well, I want to be a great leader, because he's destined to be the Fire Lord.
Yeah.
And so he's way too eager to adopt that role.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, that's my pick.
All right, my next one.
Also, one more thing that I really like about the episode is the direction and storyboarding of it, because Aang is able to exit the storm while Zuko remains in it.
Oh,
Isn't that cool?
Looky there. All right, so my next one, God, this is hard. The next one I'm gonna do. Should I do a Sokka-based one or a Zuko-based one?
It's your choice.
I love them
It's
both.
your choice.
I'm gonna do the Zuko-based one first. I'm gonna do the Blue Spirit.
Woo! We got a lineup!
I knew.
I fucking love this episode.
I knew when I actually put this one as maybe this should be a side one, because I bet you $100 Abe picks this episode.
Yeah, I
I
absolutely
totally
picked up
had
this.
that thought. But I rewatched it.
First lineup, baby.
Woo! I watched it, rewatched it, and I was like, it has to go on the list because it's so good.
It's
so
you start off. You
good.
start off with it. I'll add to it because I can gush about this episode.
Yeah.
I fucking love this episode.
This episode is great for so many reasons, but specifically because it focuses all on Zuko.
Yes.
The whole episode is Zuko based. Like, yes, Aang is obviously part of the episode,
Yes.
but this episode is run and written by Zuko, pretty much. You start the episode off, and he is once again in the state of disgrace because General Zhao is like,
he has the resources.
like, you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad told you to get the Avatar. It's been 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy to think about too, that the timeline has been going on for 2 years. Really gives you like an extent of how long this has been happening.
Yeah.
But he's been going after him for 2 years, has failed. General Zhao has been promoted to admiral. So he's like, yep, I'm done with this goose chase. I'm going after the Avatar.
I'm going on the offensive.
You're not gonna do it anymore.
Yeah.
So this obviously gets under Zuko's skin. He gets discouraged. He's talking to Uncle Iroh. Well, what am I supposed to do? He has all these resources. There's no way I'm gonna be able to restore my honor. I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Well, yeah. Not only does it discourage Zuko, but Zuko really does at this point see the Avatar as the only way to regain one, his honor, his family, his country. Like, he's in exile.
Yep.
Like, he is not seen or respected. I mean, you see the boat he's in. It's not the top level boat. You see the crew he has. His dad is not giving him shit.
No, he still has a boat and crew, though.
Yeah, that's something, but it's bottom tier stuff. And so for him to regain anything, he has to capture the Avatar. And now Zhao, an older admiral who now has infinite resources and infinite crew members and infinite everything, now seeks to threaten that.
Yep.
And it makes Zuko desperate, which I like because he does something that no other member of the Fire Nation would do.
Nope. So then you have, which is totally possible, you have Katara and you have the whole crew sick except for Aang. And so they're hanging out, waiting in that mountainside, right? They're like in a cave.
Yeah, a little whatever side.
Because, and that's another thing too about this episode, Sokka is so underrated in the first couple episodes because everyone, yes, he's a comedic relief.
He's there for comedic relief, yeah.
Well, he's there for comedic relief, but even in this episode, he's sick, which is a comedic relief, but he's sick because he stayed up all night and got them through the storm.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that detail. That's a good little detail.
It's a small detail, but, and they literally just glaze over it because Katara's taking care of him. Well, he's really not feeling good because he's sick.
It's
like
just like I said in the past episode, just the little, I haven't done this since I was a kid. Oh, you are a kid. And they don't focus on it. They just keep moving. And the show is littered with these little
stuff like
things
that.
of dialogue that really tell you a lot about the characters. So that's another line of, well, he stayed up and he kept us through the storm, which was the previous episode.
Yep, it was.
Which I love that they start with the storm. Aang and Zuko are parallels, and this episode they come together.
They're coming together,
and it's very nice to pair those two.
Yep. So I like that just a little bit about Sokka too, because it's like he's sick, so he's useless this episode. But it's because he's recovering from being the support and being that leader that he's born to be. Anyways, so they're sick, they're incapacitated. So Aang's like, I'm going to go figure this out. So he finds that medicine woman who then,
who likes her cat.
Yeah, who likes her cat, talks him in circles.
And funny little scene.
And is like, go get frozen frogs. And he's like, for real? Frozen frogs? She's like, yeah, frozen frogs. Like, all right, sounds good. And the frozen frogs, all the little stuff in there, it's just those tidbits of kid showness.
Yeah.
All throughout it, because the frogs come up later.
I do.
The frogs come up
just
later.
Just a fun little thing.
So good. So he is there. He's looking for the frogs. He runs into the Fire Nation. Even after running into the Fire Nation, he's still looking for the frozen frogs because his friends are sick.
Because that's Aang.
So even with, he's getting shot at.
He's getting shot at a lot.
A lot. And he's like, I still got to go get these frogs, though. That's what I have to go do, and then I can leave.
Yeah.
So he, gets caught because he's still young and inexperienced, and he's focused on the frogs. And gets caught. General Zhao.
Real quick, I just want to add what I like. One, I like the antagonists. I wish they used them more in the show. But the Wang, the archers, the legendary archers. I love one. It shows that Zhao has good resources and connections. And two, they kind of foreshadow a little bit. The episode starts with, Zhao talking to whatever, which I also love the politics of this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because Zhao talks to another general, and he's just like, hey, I want to use your archers. And he's just like, I'm more high-ranking. Then a bird comes in.
Literally.
He gets promoted, and he's just like, well, guess what? Now my request is in order. And during that little scene...
It also shows how ruthless the Fire Nation is with each other.
Oh, yeah. No, it's all political.
With each other, it's just as dangerous as being outside of it.
But during that scene, you get the archers and they shoot the same arrow 3 times or 4 times in the same spot.
Yeah.
They do the same move when Aang puts up a wall of ice.
And it breaks it.
It's just cool little details like that. I wish they'd use the archers more in the show because this is really the only episode they make an appearance.
They use them, I think, again in season 2, but then there's something that happens.
I can't remember, but I thought these were such a fun antagonistic force.
Well,
because it's just the chase scene between Aang, the archers, and an Airbender. cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, because they're all playing on air.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're all just kind of jumping around and doing their own thing, and I really do like it. I'm gonna have to fix the camera again because
It's
that's how
bullshit.
it is.
Fucking bullshit, bro. I would agree with that. It is fun to see that little dynamic. I also liked the archers too because they showed like, okay, what we've been doing before, this like chase scene, like, oh, we're chasing you. It's gonna start to get more serious.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just chasing you. We want to capture
We're
you.
gonna effectively do it.
And like, and you don't find until he gets captured by Zhao that Zhao's like, well, we can't kill you because then you'll just be reborn.
Pop up somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's besides the point. But before that, they're shooting these arrows. You're like, he could get physically really hurt, you know, and we as the audience don't want to see that happen. So when he does get captured and he's there in the middle of this dungeon, in the middle of a compound.
Fire Nation army complex.
Yeah, like, he's in a very difficult position. So he's...
both of his friends are sick.
Yep.
No one's coming to save him.
And nobody knows where he is.
Yep.
Like, and his friends could be super sick, so something could be happening to them. Like, because Sokka goes the whole day without water.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, but I'm just adding the seriousness that can be there, But anyway, so his friends are sick. No one can help him. He's kind of screwed. So he's like, what am I going to do to get out of here? And the frogs start to melt in his little, in his top. So they start jumping out. And is he like, oh no, the frogs are getting away? He's like, no, I need you to stay frozen because my friends still need you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so he's still focused on getting back to his friends, but he doesn't know.
That's his number one concern.
But he doesn't know how to get out.
Yeah.
So then you see the beautiful, the amazing blue spirits.
And just to add on, I kind of wanted to touch about this. Every time they introduce a character, or they have different motifs for characters. I love the motif of the blue spirit mask. It has a little musical motif to it. So every time it's on there, it's just like, that's the theme.
Yep.
The theme.
Musical association with certain characters
exactly.
for certain things.
Exactly.
Yep,
and I love that. I love how it pops up. And I love how in the audience, we don't really know who this character is. Because as a kid, this blew my mind, the reveal of the blue spirit. But they start off, super mysterious character. He's like this super spy
ninja.
This ninja that just completely infiltrates.
Shows up out of nowhere. And I like the blue because it contrasts the fire.
Originally, the creators wanted to make it the red spirits, but they thought that the red would be too closely
too
associated
with
the
blue
Fire
spirit.
Nation, so they chose the blue spirit.
Good job, writers. I agree with that completely.
Which there is more lore on the mask that we might get into, but he sneaks in. I love that he has a water bucket to defeat one of the fire benders because he knows it'll work. He takes them all out with ease, and he frees Aang, and he's just like,
this also shows his prowess as not just a bender.
Oh yeah,
he's a fighter.
Yeah,
he's a fighter.
Technically, he just needs 2 swords.
Have you heard the argument that Zuko is actually the better firebender, because if you took away bending from Azula, then she'd be screwed. All you gotta give Zuko is some swords.
I haven't heard that. Maybe, I don't know, because Azula's fierce, but that's not till season 2.
She is, but that's what the argument was. Like, yes, she's fierce, but if you take away her bending, she's screwed. She has no ability outside of firebending.
We're not gonna get too far into this, but as of right now, I don't agree.
But we'll talk about it later.
She is a badass. I'm not denying that.
But anyway, frees Aang, and this leads to one of my favorite sequences, and I think all of season 1, is the escape scene from the Fire Nation with Aang and Zuko working side by side with each other.
I love the ladder scene.
Yes. Well, it's all of it.
I know, but the latter, when they're like, okay, like we're in a situation
Jump
where
on my
like,
back. Yeah.
we just need to communicate right now,
Well,
and we are without
that's the cool
knowing
thing.
each other.
That's the cool thing is Zuko doesn't say a word.
No.
So not only it's a little foreshadowing to one their potential friendship,
Yeah.
and also that them working together is actually a real threat to the Fire Nation.
Oh yeah,
they are actually a good team without even talking to each other.
Yeah,
because
skilled.
Aang does say like, "Oh, get this, get that," but he says few lines. Zuko doesn't talk at all. And they work fluidly as a team. So they first start off with. They get caught. Oh my God! Avatar escaped as Zhao's coming by, preparing his speech,
which is hilarious
because it's all ego for him.
Oh, it's so fun, and then I like how the guy behind him. I like how it shows the Fire Nation.
Should I cancel the speech?
Yeah, yeah. I like how they have little bits of that throughout the whole thing, or when they trick the Fire Nation. When they do the fake rock bending, and they're like, the lemur is earth bending.
Yeah,
they're like,
exactly.
no, it's the girl, you idiots. Like, it's
moron.
the girl.
But anyway, so, oh my God, Avatar escapes. They first start, they cut the rope, and they both fall on the ground. First thing that happens, Aang saves Zuko from the ground with his airbending.
Yep.
They both run towards the gate, and Zuko gets caught up with some soldiers with some swords. Aang is way faster, and he can make it through the gate, but he stops.
Because he saved me. I have
exactly.
to save him.
He stops. He almost gets stabbed with a spear.
Yep.
He grabs the guy.
Breaks it.
Completely pushes him off. Exactly. He breaks the spearhead because he's a pacifist.
He is. He's a monk.
Yeah. He breaks the spear. Boom. They're working together. They get up on. He throws Zuko up on a wall. Zuko keeps battling off people. Then he grabs Zuko. And he starts twirling through the air, and as Aang is flying, Zuko's deflecting all of the arrows that they're shooting towards them. So right there, they're working as a team.
Together.
And they get slowly more ingrained with each other, and then the latter scene comes up.
It's amazing.
Where it's just like, trust me, I'm trusting you.
Yep.
Get on my back. And they almost.
They're right there.
They're
almost so close.
Aang grabs with two hands to get, on the wall, slips. Zuko grabs with one, and they're almost there,
so
and then
close,
they drop.
So close.
And and plus the music in that scene is phenomenal. I love the music in that scene. I can play it for 10 seconds.
It's worth it.
But I don't know how well the quality is going to be. But this little...
It's like we're going, baby. It's 10 seconds, bro. It's 10 seconds, bro.
Fucking fire, dude. I love that theme. But all that mixed in with the music, the teamwork that they're showing, just the action in and of itself, it's awesome. I love it. It's one of my favorite sequences in season 1.
Well, and then when they slip, and they're like, we're so close.
Yeah.
They still are not defeated because Zuko takes a calculated risk.
I love this.
And is like, you know what? I know what Zhao's after, so if I act like I'm going to kill the Avatar, which I'm not, but if I act like I'm going to, he doesn't know. So I'm going to slowly get us out of this situation. And Aang reads the situation as, oh, he's got swords to my throat,
exactly.
but he's still on my side.
Well, that's the thing.
And we're going to slowly back out. And that is a good representation of their entire relationship.
I don't know if Aang sees it that way. How I see, one, I love the political intrigue because Zhao asked, Avatar has to be captured alive, and as soon as Zuko hears that,
he's like, boom.
He's like, this is our only way out of this.
This is
because
how we
I
get
think
out.
Zuko is willing. I think he's willing to kill Aang at this point because we're both gonna lose.
He's not willing to kill Aang.
Well, actually, no, that's true. No, that's true.
He's not, because he hasn't regained his honor, and now it just puts him in an even worse position.
That, and also, I recant that statement because Zuko is actually seen throughout this series not wanting to take life.
He's not a killer.
But he's willing to threaten it because it knows it will get him out.
Right.
I think Aang doesn't really know what to make of the situation because everyone's kind of like, why are you letting them out? Like, what the hell? But I like that Zhao is like, he has to let them out.
Right.
And then he uses one of the archers. This needs precision.
Right.
Hits him directly in the head, and that's when you get the reveal.
Right.
That it's Zuko.
See, I really feel like that scene there, it's a reciprocation scene, because that scene where Zuko, God damn it.
Dude, I'm gonna have to figure out this camera. Okay, well, that's why we're doing this, so we can figure it out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I kind of saw that as a reciprocation scene, because Aang is still a kid, but he's smart enough to read the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And when Zhao said that, and Zuko went right up on him, and they're backing up, I think, at first Aang's like, oh my God, he's actually, like, gonna kill me, but then we're opening the door, and he's slowly backing me out. Like, they walk all the way down.
That's fair.
Like, it's not like, oh, I'm letting you go so I can get out the door and then I'm out. Like, no, I'm walking all the way, because Zuko's end game is still to capture Aang.
I guess I just like the idea, and even if it's not true, the idea that Zuko's willing to be like, I'm not just gonna lose, Zhao, like, we're both gonna lose.
But
I kind of like that idea.
But Zhao doesn't lose, because I killed the Avatar, and then that puts me in a position where now I'm super disgraced.
I still think the Fire Lord would be like, you let my disgraceful son take the Avatar from you, and now he's going to be reborn? I'm the Fire Lord! Ah!
Yeah, I mean, I like that thought too.
I just like the idea of Zuko just being like,
screw you.
We're all, like, I'm not just gonna lose,
we're
all gonna lose. Because if everything's being taken from me, I will take everything from you. And I feel like that describes the ferocity that Zuko has in the first season, of just, like, he is so hell-bent on getting his honor back, and if he can't have it, well, then Zhao's not gonna have his honor.
Yeah,
because Zhao's basing his honor off of his capture of the Avatar.
Totally.
He's making the speech for it and everything.
Totally.
So I don't know. I like that idea, but I do see I don't think he's willing to kill Aang.
I don't think he is.
He's not.
He's not willing.
He's not willing to kill. I mean, anyone. He had opportunities, and we'll get more into it. But he tried to save Zhao at one point.
Like, he has opportunities to kill or to allow people to die, and he doesn't let them happen. So when he backs Aang all the way up, and then he gets shot in the head, and Aang does a big dust ball, takes off the reveal. It's like, oh my God, Aang now has an opportunity to leave Zuko there. But I'm not going to, because Zuko just saved me. So he waits for Zuko to wake up, because he's unconscious, waits for him to wake up on a pile of leaves, so he made a little bed for him, laid him down, and then just, as, Zuko's kind of waking up, he just tells him a story. I had a best friend before everything happened, and he was from the Fire Nation. Do you think if we were back 100 years, we could be friends? And Zuko, again, does not say anything, but attacks him. And then Aang takes off. So I really like that reciprocation of Aang is now seeing Zuko as more than the Fire Nation is attacking.
Well, yeah, and he's seeing him as a person, and he's seeing him as someone that... Well, Aang always wants to help everyone he can. And I really like the idea. I mean, that whole interaction's wonderful. One, because Aang saves Zuko. He has the chance to just leave him. So he doesn't. He saves him, and he just asks, like, do you think we could have been friends? I think it speaks to, one, how Aang is as a person, and I think Aang is still really getting used to the idea, because they even mentioned earlier in the season, I have friends in all the nations. I have Earthbender friends, I have fire friends, I have waterbending friends, and now everything's different.
And
I'm not allowed to be friends with Fire Nation people anymore. And I think Aang is still getting used to that. Wow, like, everything's different.
Very much so.
And last line, absolutely love the last line of the episode. He gets the frozen frogs to his friends. Sokka, hey, where have you been? Did you make any friends?
It's like, no, I don't think I did.
And it immediately parallels them with Aang laying on the back of Appa's tail and being like, no, I don't think I did, and immediately transitions into Zuko laying in his bed, looking at the flag of the Fire Nation and just turning over.
against it. Yep.
And it's wonderful episode. I'm glad we lined up on it. That's a good episode.
Well, and it also shows too that he disappeared, and Iroh was like, "Well, where did you go? You missed music night." And he's like, "I'm gonna go lay down."
One more thing I would like to add: when Aang and Zuko are having that conversation, it plays Iroh's motif.
Yeah, it does.
It plays Iroh's motif, that horn kind of motif.
And he's playing that horn.
Yep,
when they
exactly.
Go to sleep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I like to think that I just like how the theme of Iroh is played over this growing friendship, because it's the real first interaction that they've had as people. Like, they've fought before and everything,
right.
but this
as
was the first
individuals,
earnest attempt at a conversation.
Yep, that's true. A conversation that Zuko says nothing with. He's
That's
an
how it
act-
starts. Well,
he's
he did say something.
He's an action speaks louder than
Yeah, exactly.
words kind of a guy.
Your silence speaks volumes.
Correct. Okay, so that was mine. What was yours?
Yes, I have 2 left, but we can just get it all done at once because mine is a 2-parter.
Ooh, which 2-parter? Is it the? Hold on, let me
Okay,
guess.
yeah, try and guess it.
Is it the Siege of the North?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's the Season of the
Because
North.
I was stuck between that one and the first 2-parter.
Hold up, I have it written down. The Winter Solstice.
That's it. I was like, it's the solstice episode,
Yep.
which I watched both of them, and I was like, these are both good, but
They're good.
but they don't have.
Toph.
Yes. Yes. And they don't have the. I felt like that was a great plot. Those were great plot episodes.
The Winter Solstice adds a lot of world building.
Yes. Yes. Without the winter solstice, you don't really see how huge this whole thing
Exactly.
is.
So do you want to talk about, since we both know each other's pick, do you want to talk about Winter Solstice first, or do you want to talk about the season finale first?
Let's do season finale because
Okay.
I actually decided not to do the winter solstice.
No, and that's fine.
I have 2 episodes.
I would love to hear why your Winter Solstice won out over the Seas of the North. But anyway, so let's start.
Okay.
I chose both. I chose as each individual episode,
Yep.
and this kind of just one. It's one 40-minute episode basically, but I'm gonna count it as 2 episodes because they're technically 2 episodes. So, Seas of the North 1. I'm just gonna say it. Perfect cap and perfect. It's what you want in a season finale.
Yep.
A lot of action,
Yep.
a lot of drama, a lot of payoffs, a lot of wrapping things up,
Yep.
a lot of big stakes.
Yep.
This is what you want in a season 1 finale, and I think it hit the nail on the head, especially with how tame some of this season kind of could be.
Yeah, oh, totally.
I really like how they upped the ante of just like, oh, the Avatar and his friends are now defending a people, a culture.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, which is a big deal. And not only that, but they're going to be saving a spirit, but that's further down the line. It's very good. I love it. So, episode starts. Sokka talking to Yue. Sokka's got that. Sokka's got that riz,
baby.
He's got that riz bending. Like dead ass.
You know, that is Sokka's biggest issue the whole series is women. Powerful women. He falls for all of them.
Hey,
It's
no
so
one can blame him. Are you
It's
kidding
so
me?
Great. He falls for literally all of them.
Yeah, my 12-year-old self, I was like, "Whoa, Yue is pretty."
He's so pretty.
Anyway, so start off with romance. I love how the episode starts because, one, it talks about a little bit how Sokka sees things and how he has experience. It starts with the soot in the snow. And I love that little detail of like there's soot in the air that's mixed in with the snow. And that's how you tell they're on the way.
That means,
everyone are they at the North Pole or the South Pole?
They're at the South Pole at this point.
Yeah, I
aren't
think you're
they?
right. South Pole doesn't know. They're all they don't know what this means.
Right.
Sokka's
like, I definitely
knows what
know
this means.
Because they even say when he shows up, we're your sister tribe from the north.
Yep.
So this is the South
so
Pole.
and so the North, I guess, has had to experience with this because I mean his mom was captured, his dad's at war.
They hit the north first.
Yeah, so I like that Sokka sees Soot and immediately knows, and he has to explain to Yue,
like
the princess of the South, to be like, this is Fire Nation's coming.
And she's like, what are you talking? It's like, it's from their ships.
Yep, and then he looks at it and he's like, based on it, there's going to be a lot of them. So I like that Sokka immediately knows what's going on, and I like how it mixes in with the water, and it makes the water a little blackish. It's like this omen that's coming in, this looming threat.
Two things really quickly. The use of color in these 2
Yes.
episodes is flipping phenomenal.
Yes. I looked at the storyboard artist. I think it was Dave Filoni who directed these episodes. But the storyboarding, the use of color, starts off like we just said, starts with black, and we'll get more into it.
Yeah.
But absolutely, it's in my notes. I literally wrote lots of fun with color.
The use of color is just
awesome. It's different. It's so different.
And this hits on the point that you and I have talked about before. There's some things with animated things that you can do that you can't do live action. This is one of them.
This is it.
This is one of them.
Yep,
you
exactly.
You cannot use the color in this way in a live action movie. You can't. So I just want to throw that out there.
So anyway. Starts off, romance, Soot, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, quick question. Quick ad.
Yeah.
Another romance. It's like the,
Romeo and Juliet.
No. It's like the, I guess for like Forbidden Love. But
Forbidden Love, two different houses.
It's the princess and the commoner.
Yeah. Yes.
The princess he is referred
and
to as
a
commoner.
Yes.
And I really like that juxtaposition that they have too, because then that gets played on to hit on Sokka and who he is as a leader.
Yeah, he might be a commoner, but he's got experience. He's been traveling with the freaking Avatar for the past season.
Right. And
he's got some experience under his belt.
He actually gets, as we go into the second episode, he actually gets these grown men like, you have to listen to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care that you don't care about me.
Exactly.
But I do.
Exactly.
And this is not okay. Like,
so
continue.
So anyway.
Continue.
Introduces Undercover Zuko. Previous episode, it showed that Zhao exploded the ship with the help of the pirates. Zhao thinks Zuko is dead, but he is actually undercover on the ship while Iroh is giving advice to Zhao.
Right.
Which is a great dynamic because you see this young Zhao admiral who wants to make a name for himself, and you see this retired general of Iroh just being like, you can just see the stark difference of ideology and where Iroh stands kind of with the Fire Nation of like, I'm still on this side of this, but you don't mess with the spirits. You know, you've got to be careful. And they even reference like, Zhao's like, this isn't going to be like your failure at Ba Sing Se.
It wasn't a fucking failure.
Well, it's the thing is, in the eyes of the Fire Nation, it was a failure. But anyway, so goes into this, and in the same episode, that's a perfect connection. So they bring up Ba Sing Se. The reason Iroh leaves Ba Sing Se is because his son died in that battle.
That's what I was going to say.
The very next scene, Zuko's getting the boat ready and everything, and he says, remember your fire breathing out there. It could save your life. He's giving all this advice, and he's like, Iroh, I don't need your wisdom right now, Uncle. I don't need it. And he's just like, I know, but ever since my son died, and he's like, you don't have to say. And he's like, I think of you as my own.
Yeah.
And that right there really sells the relationship of, their whole relationship's been good, but it gives it more depth of like, Iroh really does see Zuko as a son. And the whole reason he's turned his back basically on the nation is because this ideology got his son killed. And it's good. It's powerful stuff. It's great. The war starts. They start shooting fireballs, everything. Aang, this is one of the first times. Well, not first time, but this is like a major time. Aang goes on offensive hard.
Super hard.
He goes in with Appa, and I like that it shows him taking down one battleship. It takes him a full 2 minutes to take that thing down. You know, he has to fight a bunch of guys. There's a guy with the hammer on the chains. Appa has to rescue him at one point.
Yep.
And then, you know, it takes him 2 minutes to really take this thing down. A lot of work, a lot of effort. Gets back on Appa. He goes back up. There's just
Tons
covered.
of
And it just zooms in and he goes, you've got to be kidding me.
How are we going to do this?
Like, it just took me, like, forever to take one down.
How
and there are hundreds.
Yeah.
So I love that. Starts off like that. Goes back, what is it? I like that during that time you also get cut back to Sokka. Sokka's talking with the Southern Army and the Prince guy or whatever.
Yeah.
The guy who's going to marry
The
Yue.
betrothed.
Well, you can tell how unexperienced they are because they're like, yeah, we're going to do a secret mission. And Sokka laughs at him. He's like, what are you laughing at? It's like, when did you get that uniform? 100 years ago? He's like, 85 years ago. And she's like, they don't look like that anymore.
They do not look like that
and
anymore.
then he's just like, and then the main guy's like, oh, well, we've got to figure out who the commander is. And immediately Sokka's like, oh, his name's Zhao. He looks like this.
It's
you know,
what
he's
he
done
looks
this. Like Sokka is already.
I'm in it, dude.
He's
like,
already been doing this, and you can tell how unexperienced this culture is for war.
Well, I don't know if they're uncultured for war. They just haven't been touched yet.
Well, they haven't been touched. They are, I guess, battle ready. But when it comes to like their tactics,
right,
85 years old,
right,
like
because the Fire Nation has left you guys alone all these years.
And the guy who's gonna marry Princess Yue or is betrothed to marry her, super cocky, super overconfident, has no experience. The only scene he gets is one, shitting on Sokka, and two, he pops up. Zhao, he's like, prepare to be defeated, Commander Zhao, and Zhao immediately dispatches him.
Yeah, just immediately. Like, you're a waste of space right now.
Exactly.
Like,
so I like that. I like those little details.
Yep.
I like that once the moon hits, Iroh advises Zhao, stop. Moon makes them more powerful. Got to pull back. He's like, oh, I'm aware of it, and I'm going to be taking care of this problem later. But during that time, it gives a break on the action. It gives time for characters to breathe.
Reset.
One, it lets everything just calm down. So boom, it's nighttime. Aang is able to come back from battle, and he's like, I must have taken out like a dozen of their ship. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
And then Yue's like, well, you have to. And Aang just says, I'm just one kid. I love that line because it reestablishes, like, yeah, he's the savior to everything, but, like, he's just a kid.
Oh.
So, all that happens. The break-in scene with Zuko. This is the second time he's broken in somewhere. That this time he's not wearing a blue mask, but
get it, Zuko.
I love that, one, he uses the fire breathing that Iroh brings up to warm himself up. Two, this guy's fucking nuts. Do you know how cold that water would be?
Yeah.
And I love that he dives into it and you can see how cold he is. At one point, he follows the seal turtles, passes them, and he sees a hole in the wall that's pouring out water, and he decides to go face first in front of all that ice cold water pressure and just pop out and hope there's an air bubble on the other side.
Like, I hope that there's
He finds an air bubble, finds another spot, goes out, and then he heats up all the way up. It's such a nice little sequence. It really shows him as, like, he's good at espionage almost.
He's
just
resourceful. Like, he really, like, I have had to sneak in and out to do a lot of different things.
I've had to do things without an army. I've had to rely on myself. And there's a line that comes up that references this. But anyway, all that happens. The thing kind of ends with, well, Yue shows the most spiritual place on the south. Aang is able to go into Avatar state. I love the little idea that the most spiritual place has grass everywhere. And Aang comments, I didn't think I'd miss grass this much. Love that. All that happens. Ends with Zuko capturing Aang, which is awesome because during night, Katara kicks his ass. During the day, he kicks her ass. And captures her. Big old cliffhanger. Oh no, what's gonna happen? Zuko has the Avatar. And then Zhao's like, as soon as we're going to this place on the map, When we get there, we're gonna go fishing. Oh my god, big cliffhanger. What's gonna happen? Oh. Second part starts up.
Second part.
Picks up right where it's left off. Team Avatar goes find Aang. I love the little interaction because now there's a conversation happening with Zuko and Aang, but Aang doesn't talk because he's in the spirit world. But Zuko says things that he would never say to anyone that, would be able to respond. But he tells, Aang, you remind me of my sister. You were given everything. Yeah. I was given nothing. Like, my father said that she's,
a prodigy.
Yeah, she's a prodigy, and she's super lucky. I'm lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I don't want luck. I don't need it. I've had to work for everything that I've had, and it's made me who I am.
He definitely needs luck, though, because otherwise he would have died.
This mother needs a lot of luck.
Yeah, and as much as I love the way that, he's like, I'm going to sneak in, do all this,
He makes his way 90% of the way, but that last 10%...
That would have killed both of you.
Yeah.
And Iroh even says that later on. He's like, season. You realize that if the Avatar's friends wouldn't have saved you, you would be dead.
Frozen to death.
You would have been dead. And the Avatar would have died.
That's something that Katara brings up as they're searching them. She's like, I'm afraid. Well, they bring it up in that exact interaction where Katara says, I'm afraid, that they... not that they will get out of this, but that they won't, and they'll be stuck in the blizzard. And Sokka says, we know how resourceful Zuko is. Yeah. They'll be fine.
Which is true and annoying, true.
It's great. So, they rescue him. Part on that, Aang saves Zuko for the second time. We can't just leave him here.
We can't
Picks him
leave
up,
him here.
Goes.
Yep.
Which, I'm skipping over a whole part, but...
We'll go back to it.
The spirit world journey
is amazing.
Awesome.
Is amazing.
Face stealer.
Oh,
scared the piss out of me as a kid.
He's one of my favorite spirit animals that pop up in this whole series.
I like how it shows that spirits aren't they're indifferent to a certain way. They don't care what's going on in the physical world.
Some of them do.
But some of them totally don't.
Some of them want to see chaos.
Exactly. And so it's just like, I like that the spirit world is a completely different ballgame.
Oh, totally. And Aang is completely, he has to get through this.
He has to be the bridge. He has to bridge
while everything else is happening on the outside.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he has no idea what's going on.
Whole interaction with the face stealer, awesome. Loved it.
Yeah.
No emotions. Great. He gets sent back. Rescue Zuko. By the time they get back, though, Zhao has the fish.
And kills it.
And I love, once he takes the fish, everything turns red. Play with that color. Play with that color. Everything's red now. And you just see, oh my god, it's basically panic mode for everybody. Iroh shows up, and he's just like, we all depend on the balance, and you are about to ruin the world, basically.
I get what you're doing right now, but you can't do this.
Yeah, Avatar is saying, you're going to ruin the world. Iroh, you're going to ruin the world. And Zhao, he just wants that status. He wants to be the Moon Slayer. He wants the glory.
He's the worst.
And you can see in that scene that the blackfish that's left
he's losing it.
There's no balance.
Yeah, he's losing it. The blackfish is, where's my partner?
Exactly. Lets the fish back. Oh. He is overcome with whatever. Sends a thing of fire, kills the koi fish. And immediately, it turns into a black and white film, basically.
Pretty much.
And it's really cool because when fire happens, you can actually see color on their skin.
But other
which
than
is
that,
awesome. But other than that, it's black and white. You get to see what I like to call the motherfucking Dragon of the West.
Yes,
because in 20 seconds,
he went from,
Iroh takes down 4 guards like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And Zhao runs
the other way. And whenever there's moments where Iroh gets to kind of flex the warrior he is, because he is.
Every time I go, that's the Dragon of the West.
That's why he called that.
That's the Dragon of the West right there.
And everyone kind of skips over it, with Zhao saying, "Will your failure at Ba Sing Se?"
They don't realize how powerful he is.
He was the dragon. He is
Yes.
the dragon of the West. He's just now more enlightened. So I'm okay with drinking tea and not getting in other people's face. I can take you down. I don't need to.
Zhao even says in this episode, your legendary trip to the spirit world.
Yeah. Yep.
So Iroh's been around.
Yeah, and the fact
cool.
that the fact that he was able to go to the spirit world at all.
Yes, exactly.
Is crazy.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's one of the reasons he has such respect for the spirits.
Yep.
You do not mess with them.
Don't mess
he
with
has
them.
a line and he's drawn it. And so runs off the other direction.
Yep.
They have the interaction of, the backstory of Yue, which Yue, by the way, is the only one with color in her eyes. She has blue in her eyes.
Because she is the moon.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's great because it stands out. Gives life back to the koi fish.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, actually, before that, Aang, what is it? They say it's over. Everything's hopeless. Aang goes, no, it's not. All of his arrows light up, which I fucking love that.
Nope.
He goes into the water and he interacts with the other koi fish.
Yeah.
And he becomes essentially a god.
Well, he embodies the spirit that was just taken.
Well, exactly. He is the moon on Earth.
He is the moon.
Yeah.
He has taken over what the moon spirit was doing.
And the moon has and they talk about it in the episode, the moon was the first waterbender, how it pushed and pulled the waves. He is the oldest, most experienced waterbender on the planet and has absolute mastery of the water, which is why the water that he's in is all blue.
Yep.
And as he moves across the city, that black and white changes to shades of blue. And he essentially becomes a god.
Yeah. Well, and
he takes out every single ship there is and every lasting army battalion.
As he's standing too, like with that color change, he's purifying the water from the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
And he's using it against them.
And it's awesome. I love that reverse shot of him and the koi fish and their perspective of each other, and then he just drops into the water. Yep. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yep. Well, and then I like how Yue too realizes what she has to do, and I think doesn't she even kiss Sokka?
And when she becomes a ghost, yeah.
Well, she becomes a ghost, but she
becomes the moon.
She thanks him first.
Yes.
She's like, Sokka, I love you, but this is what I have to do.
This is my duty.
This is my duty.
Yeah.
I am the princess of these people. I have to do this just like you have to do what you're doing.
Exactly.
So I will always be watching you. And then that's when she, gives herself to the moon spirit and, floats away.
Floats off. There's now a moon in the sky. I love that also during all of this scene, because there's 3 story parts going on. The Yue Sokka storyline, the Aang dealing with the Fire Nation storyline, and then the Zuko and Zhao storyline.
Yep.
During all of this time, Zhao's trying to run away. Zuko stops him.
Yep.
He turns around. He goes, I thought you were dead. And he's like, you tried to have me killed. And this is when it all comes out.
Yep.
All the little things they never told each other, all the little things. You're the blue spirit. You've betrayed your nation. I was just doing what was best for the nation. All this stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, they're arguing with each other.
Yeah, and they're just Zhao has been the antagonist for Zuko. Yeah. Zuko has been the antagonist for Team Avatar, basically. Yep. But this is when they finally... This is it. This is the last butting of the heads, and they just let it all out, and they're all fighting, their own specific style and firebending. Their heart's content out, and then it finally ends with he basically beats Zhao fair and square, and then Zhao gets picked up by the moon spirit as an act of revenge, basically. And Zuko, I love when the moon returned, Zhao goes, it's not possible! Everything he went for, he's now going to go down in history as a nothing burger. Man. You've accomplished nothing.
Yep. Well, not only nothing, you failed.
Exactly.
You failed.
This is actually exactly like the loss of Ba Sing Se.
Almost precisely.
Except you're going to die.
Yeah, except you're going to die.
And so he gets captured, or not, well...
The moon spirit takes him.
Takes him. Zuko tries to save him.
He shouldn't
but
have.
Zhao is too... Well, that's who Zuko is.
I know. And then Zhao's like...
And Zhao is too engrossed in the Fire Nation...
Like pride.
Pride to be saved by an outcast.
Well, not just an outcast, but by Zuko, because I was going out of my way to get you out of the way.
Exactly.
And now you're going to save me? No, I'd rather die.
Exactly.
And that's what happens.
And then episode ends. Everyone got saved.
Woo!
No, what is it? Iroh and Zuko are now outcasts.
Now they're outcasts.
They'll expand on it in the first episode, but basically this is the first time where it's like, no, you're an outcast.
Well, because this is the first time
You've been banned because they were welcome on the docks of General.
Well,
Zhao's
yeah, because
thing.
they were still part of the Fire Nation. After this battle, they're not, because Iroh attacked Fire Nation.
Yep.
So they are no longer in
Welcome.
the good graces of the Fire Nation. Like,
so there's that. That's my other two picks. Siege of the North.
okay.
Done. Boom. That's all my 5 episodes.
So
Don't have to talk about Lucy. See you next week.
Okay, so I really like the Jet episode.
That's on my honorable mentions.
I like the Jet episode because this to
So
me
is it on your list?
it is.
Okay.
It is. This is on the list. I'm gonna go finish
Like
my
it's
list.
simply called Jet.
Yep, Jet. I'm gonna finish my list and then I'll give my honorable mentions. But I really like Jet because this is such a great episode for specifically Sokka.
Yep, absolutely agree.
And it goes to show, because this whole time where Fire Nation is evil, Fire Nation is evil, Fire Nation is evil, they're the bad guys, enemy, enemy, enemy.
Black and white.
Very. This episode, it's not that
A
anymore.
little nuanced.
Because both of these characters, Jet and Sokka, have lost greatly due to the war and due to Fire Nation. So they both have the ambition of, I want to beat the Fire Nation and win this war so that we can go on and live our lives. They've both lost people. But Jet is so blinded by his anger and rage towards the Fire Nation, all he sees is the Fire Nation symbol. He doesn't see the people behind it.
Yeah.
Sokka does. And that is the difference between a great leader.
Yes, absolutely.
And they hit on that the whole episode too, because the start of the episode, Sokka's like, well, I just got a gut feeling that we shouldn't fly Appa, we should walk. So they walk and they run right into a Fire Nation camp. And they're like, well, crap. And then they run into the Fire Nation camp where Jet and his band of mischiefs were actually trying to get into the camp anyway, so they take advantage of the situation. So Jet is seen as a super awesome leader dude that
He's got all
set it all
he's
up.
got the charisma. He
has the Riz, as
he
they
does.
say.
He has the Riz. He's got the hairstyle.
You know,
Everyone loves him.
He's a little bit older. He's more put together, or at least
He
seems
is
that way.
a bona fide leader.
He is a bona fide leader because everyone in that group is listening to him because they believe in him. So we have that versus this little Avatar group where they're still arguing about who the leader is. Sokka's like, well, I gotta be the leader. And Katara's like, well, it's gotta be Aang because he's Avatar. It's like, he's 12.
He's a little young,
Like,
yeah.
look at him. So they have this constant theme of what is a good leader? What is true leadership? And they have that theme throughout the whole episode. So Jet, rizzes up Katara and Aang. You guys are just so great and amazing.
Yep.
I can't believe you guys are here.
Yeah, yeah.
And Sokka's like, I don't like this dude. I don't like this dude. So,
something's off.
Jet brings him, like, quote unquote, under his wing. They go on a scouting mission, and then they end up beating down that old man. And Sokka's like, That's not cool.
Yeah, he might be Fire Nation, but
he was a helpless old man.
Yeah, you don't just get to beat up whoever you want.
Right, and so then they get back. He tells Aang and Katara, they're like, there's got to be another side to the story.
There's an explanation.
You know, Jet's like, well, you know, he was Fire Nation. He's like, okay, you're right. I did leave out that he's Fire Nation. I thought the fact that he was a helpless old man was more important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm gonna leave. This is not okay. You know, and then... But he doesn't want to leave Katara and Aang. So then he sneaks off and he follows Jet. It's like, you know, I know there's something suspicious here. Well, they're going to blow the dam and they're going to drown that village. That is just a bunch of Fire Nation.
Well, it's not even... Isn't it an Earth Kingdom village?
It's an Earth...
So
it is an Earth Kingdom village.
It's occupied by Fire Nation soldiers, but there are civilians... in the Fire Nation that are also in the village that Jet is willing to sacrifice to get a win on the Fire Nation.
Because they've taken over that Earth village.
Yeah.
So
it's not even just Fire Nation.
Right. There's Earthbenders down there
Jet's
too.
willing to sacrifice civilians.
Yeah. Women, children, mothers, fathers.
People who've done nothing wrong.
Right. Which was his point with the old man, you know. And Jet's like, well, he was sent to assassinate me. And Sokka's
made up a lie and made it up quick.
Yeah, Sokka's like, no, there wasn't. I was there the whole time. Like, I know what a threat looks like, and that was not a threat.
Jet's also really good at manipulation because he was just like, well, yeah, Sokka, like, he was there. You saved my life, Sokka.
You saved my life.
Like, thank God you were there. And he does that with Aang, and he does that with Katara. So he's not so much... He is a leader, but he's very good at manipulating people into doing what he wants.
Yeah.
And he was trying to manipulate Sokka and like, well, I see you as a leader as well. I recognize you. We're both soldiers. We both get it.
And he's like, he's like, yeah, I know that you're going to do whatever you're going to do to get what you want. And that's what I'm recognizing. So I do, and I like, too, that, you know, Sokka they take him away, but Sokka gets away anyway, warns the village, empties the village out, and then, you know, then then Katara and Aang are like, well, why would you do that? You know? But it also goes to show, too, and it's much smaller, but throughout this entire first season, they do a lot of, like, potential romantic interests for...
they play around with it.
They do, and it makes sense because it's a children's show, so that there is always kind of that aspect. But I've always been back and forth with it because I get it and I understand.
With Jet in particular, or
no, just the fact that every time they go somewhere else, there's another young male bender that Katara ends up being tracked. Like one of my side episodes, Imprisoned. The same thing happens.
I didn't get too much of a love relationship thing with that,
but there wasn't that as much.
But I understand what you're saying. Young Bender, Katara's taken with them
every time, and it's just like, and I understand that because she's looking for this quote unquote someone that's older or a leader, and you've got Aang who's like this silly little child, you know. And another side episode, the fortune teller episode, she asked the fortune teller,
who am I gonna be married to,
right? And one is he's gonna be powerful bender. Well, then the whole episode she's looking at all these people that are powerful benders, and then the end of the episode, Aang goes crazy bending.
Aang is the most powerful bender.
Yeah, and Sokka's the one that says it.
Yeah.
Sokka's like, wow, sometimes you really do forget how powerful a bender he is.
Yeah.
And you see Katara go, oh shit, yeah, this
click.
that's totally right. Like, you see it happen. So, like, I understand why they have those little bits and pieces throughout it. And I get that, like, with Jet, you know, it's like, oh, well, there is, like, romantic interest because he's leader. He has, I think our morals are in line, you know, da-da-da-da-da. So then you also see the brother pop out of Sokka because he's like, no, I don't like this dude, and I know I don't like this dude, and I knew there was a reason.
My gut is telling me something.
My gut is telling me, and he says that the whole episode.
Leaders gotta follow his gut.
Like, my gut is telling me this, you know, and sometimes your gut is right.
My gut's not always right, but sometimes it's right.
It is. Like, at the end of the episode, they leave Jet, they get on, and they're like, oh, so where are we going? He's like, I'm just following my gut. And he's like,
the other direction.
He's like, I'm not always right.
Exactly.
Like,
yep, exactly.
So I like that they give that, like, no, he's not always right, but when he feels something, is like,
Sokka,
he's
yeah,
gonna go
Sokka,
for it. Like,
yeah, he's not just like comedy relief.
No,
he's not just
he's not.
that. He has actual real input to
He does,
put
and
in. And his gut, you should listen to his gut sometimes.
And there's
maybe not all the time, but there are some instances where it's just like, no, Sokka's hitting the nail on the head right now.
And it pops up a lot, like the fortune teller episode that I was just talking about. Everyone's like, well, the fortune teller said that I'd be fine, so I'm not worried. And he's like, are you freaking insane?
That's Sokka. He's so analytical.
Like, he
doesn't believe in hokey pokey.
He doesn't believe in it at all. Doesn't believe in it at all. And then at the very, like, even though he doesn't believe in it, he knows it's part of their world. So he gives it a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, when, in that fortune teller episode, the fortune teller is like, well, I read the clouds, and the volcano's not going to blow up. And then they go up there to get a flower, and they're like, oh, the fortune teller is wrong. So Sokka comes back down, it's like, you guys, it's going to blow. Well, the whole town already knows he's a skeptic. So instead of just, like, dying on that horse, he's like, fine, this is the logic you want to listen to.
Figure it out.
We're going to go change the freaking clouds so that I can pull her out and she can tell you guys so that I can tell you we need to dig these ditches.
He's a problem solver.
And, like, and I like the ditches, too, because there's so many people in this world that could easily be like, I don't know how to bend. I have no power or control. Like, there's nothing that I can do. And Sokka goes out of his way to show that I am useful with my boomerang. God damn it.
Yeah,
and you need me here.
Yeah, he has input to put in.
Like, absolutely. Like, the volcano blows up, and he's like, we only have a couple earthbenders. Everybody else grab a shovel.
Yeah, exactly.
We're digging.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what's going to happen.
Is the fortune teller, is that also on the list?
That is a side.
That's a side? That's an honorable mention?
That's an
I was going to say,
honorable
you've brought it up a couple of times. It's just like, you seem to like that episode.
That's why I had to bring it up. I was like, this is an honorable mention because there's so many, I didn't even realize it. There are so many episodes for Sokka.
There's a lot of good episodes.
So
I mean, in the first season, there's a lot of good. But anyway, so Jet, done talking about Jet episode.
So Jet was my pick for the episode because I really think it showcases Sokka's leadership. And it's not...
Because he doesn't manipulate people in what he wants. He tells people straight up.
And he's not talking to an adult. He's talking to people his age.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I guess the only time he does manipulate, like manipulating the clouds, he does it in the earnest way possible.
Because I know that it's going to
explode.
I don't need to argue with you. I just need you to get on this same
I need
page
you guys to, like, be safe.
so that we can save the village.
Exactly.
I don't want to argue with you anymore because I'm not going to win that argument. So let's just save the village. Like...
Okay, what is... Hold up, let me try and guess your last episode. Kyoshi Island?
I love that episode so much, yes.
Is it on that?
I love that episode so much.
Boys, we did!
Kyoshi is...
Kyoshi Island.
Amazing.
Which is another you like Sokka-based episode.
Sokka's amazing, bro! Sokka's amazing,
Sokka, fam, damn. Sokka's still risen it up all these years later.
It up, baby. Sokka's great. Well, because you know a lot of my favorite episodes that evolve Katara, like the...
I was surprised the water
bending master.
Surprised it wasn't on the list.
I love that episode. I could talk about that episode right now. It is an amazing episode. I love how you go from, again, like a commoner to a well-off nation, and that's how they see Katara. They put her into
see her as just a healer. But either way, talk about your pick, Lucy, because we're gonna have to do honorable mentions a little bit later.
No,
Lucy, we're finishing your pick, Lucy.
All right, Kyoshi. The reason I like Kyoshi is because, yes, it's a Sokka-based episode, but I seriously see it as, like, a super feminist episode.
Yes.
Because the episode as a whole really up to this point, all the avatars that we've seen have been male. This is the first time we see an avatar that's a female.
Uh-huh.
So that's a big one for me, because Kyoshi is dope. B, she's also the last Airbender. Isn't she?
No, she was an earthbender.
What, is she Earthbender with her fans?
Yes. I think she used her fans as... was she an airbender? Was she an earthbender? I think she was an earthbender.
Because now I'm trying to think. Because I'm thinking about the warriors of Kyoshi, and I don't remember them being earthbenders.
Maybe they were airbenders.
So...
She just strikes me as an not airbender, as an earthbender
type.
Because she's very tough. She was tall as all can be. Like, she strikes me as an earthbender. Plus, she wears a lot of green. But she might have been an airbender.
I'm going to look it up right now.
She's an earthbender?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I know the lore!
Yes, you are. I like her because of, she's the first female avatar that we see that has a real voice in what's going on. Because we see Roku and stuff, but like, so we see her, and we also see her as someone that's a solid, which it makes sense that she's a rock bender, because she's a solid figure that created this island and is like, this is where my people will be safe, because I'm going to separate ourselves from this situation. And that's what she did. And then you have the warriors of Kyoshi, which is this band of warriors that uses the fan style that she had, but they are the warriors of this town. There's nobody else in this town that can come, and they're feared and they're respected. So much so that when they show up, Sokka's like, these are the warriors of Kyoshi. They're legendary. I would love to train with you.
Learn, yeah.
And they're in traditional garb, which is like a dress and makeup. And so they go into the fierceness of the makeup and why it's so powerful and what it means. And
there's tradition behind it. There's a culture
behind it, you know, and you get all that, and then Aang walks in and goes, haha, you're in a dress. And, it totally takes it all away. But it really gives you the perspective of warriors come in all shapes and sizes.
Yep.
You can't just assume that when you walk up on an area and you've heard about something, you just know what you're walking into.
Exactly.
Which isn't the truth. And it also goes to show for Sokka is like, okay, well, look at all these ways that you're fighting. You're actually a terrible fighter, which he's not. But
to start off, he is.
Well,
at that point, he really, he's the oldest male in his village.
Right.
His dad left before he could really teach him anything.
Right.
So Sokka's been flying by the seat of his pants.
Yep.
He's just like, okay, I think this is how a warrior is.
Right.
I think this is how we fight. And he's fought a little bit with the Avatar, but this is his first cordial course in combat.
And this is his first like actual professional training.
Exactly.
And it's by a group of women.
Yeah.
So I really like that aspect in it. I also really like the side story, which is Aang and Katara. Because Aang has all these, he's getting a little big-headed.
Yeah.
Because he's got all these.
He's being a little
airhead. Haha, I took it from you. Haha.
Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras.
Just end the episode right there. But yeah, you have all these girls that are like, oh, you're so cool.
Angie.
And Katara hates it.
No, yeah.
She hates it.
I like how there's a little subtext of, one, she doesn't like it because he's gaining attention. She kind of likes Aang at this point. But also, it's just like, Aang, like, you're your ego's getting a little big. Like, that's her majority of
Well,
cause. So there's a little subtext, but there's also the overall text of...
Well, your ego is too big.
Yeah, your ego's getting too big. Yeah, you're the Avatar. Cool. But, like, you're also just a kid.
I also got to check you, too.
Yeah.
Because I, like...
And he's doing most of this stuff to inflate his ego. Like,
he's
doing the push-ups.
He's making himself feel better. So I like the juxtaposition of Aang doing all this quote-unquote Avatar macho stuff, which is getting the attention of these girls.
He's not actually doing anything.
You're not doing anything,
Yeah.
but you have all these attention of all these girls, and then flip to the other side, and Sokka is getting his ass whipped by women. That is the difference.
Yeah.
You are playing a...
Never thought of that dynamic.
You're playing a child's game here on... I'm so tough and cool.
To inflate your ego, you're basically being a child. Yeah.
Exactly. And you are getting the attention of children.
Yeah.
If you want to be serious and be taken seriously, then you need to look at the people that you are going against.
You have to respect them as
at
people.
the same level.
Yeah. You have to respect them as people, as women, and as a whole culture.
Yep.
You have to get the whole picture and understand it and wear it like a badge of honor.
And wear it like a badge of honor. You should not be ashamed to be wearing an official warrior of Kyoshi suit.
Exactly.
You should not be. This is an honor. And if you feel like it's a shame, then you don't understand what we're doing.
Exactly.
And so I really like that thought.
That dynamic.
Because I really feel like...
I've never thought of that parallel between Aang and Sokka and the attention that they are getting versus different citizens of Kyoshi.
Well, because they're both trying to be a warrior. They're both trying to be a man.
Well,
but
yeah,
they're
they're
both
both
at different spots in their
Yeah.
development. Aang is still 12, 13 years old. He's still... La, 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 la,
And he's a kid.
I'm figuring it out. Sokka's a teenager.
Sokka wants to be a man desperately.
Well, besides the fact that he wants to be a man desperately, he's older too.
Yeah.
So not only am I older too, and what's her name? Katara says it earlier in like a couple episodes before. She's like, well, maybe if you would have kissed a girl, you wouldn't be trying to prove to be a man so much. So I've kissed a girl, you just don't know her name.
She's from like a different tribe.
Yeah.
She goes to a different tribe
She goes to a different school. So for him, he doesn't have this romantic love interest. And anytime it does happen, it's because he sees not the girl, the woman that's there.
Yeah.
Look at the episode we were just talking about.
Yue.
Yue is not a girl.
Well, I mean, a lot of, what is it? And I won't get too far into it, but he sees them as people, as fully formed individuals, as not like, oh, you're just this. Because even, what's her name? Is it Yui? What's Kyoshi Warrior's name? Suki?
Oh, you mean, Suki.
Suki.
Yeah.
Even Suki says, because he doesn't see her just as a warrior, because even at their last interaction in that episode is just like, I am a warrior, but I'm also a girl.
And then she kisses him. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he sees them as individuals, and that's the same thing that happened with Yue. A lot of people were just seeing her, she's just the princess. It's going to get me a lot of status. It's going to give me a lot of this. But he saw her as Yue.
Yeah.
So, that's something that Sokka develops throughout the series, but they hit it hard in this episode.
Yeah.
Of he had preconceived notions of crazy warrior people who are awesome and bunch of girls totally separate, can't be together. But then he mixes the two and starts seeing people as more dynamic and more individualistic.
Yep.
So good on Sokka. See, the real Riz is seeing girls as individuals.
Yup. So
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, Sokka does have some serious Riz in this series.
He's funny.
He has some serious
If anyone's
Riz.
watching and they want to know the real Riz, just be funny. That's all that matters.
Be funny and be fucking honest. Like just be funny.
Let's get a little
like,
too. We're still just talking about Avatar. We're not gonna get too far into that. So that's your last episode, Kyoshi Island.
Yes.
She don't know how to spell it. Kyoshi. Oh my god. Okay, real quick for the honorable mentions. Just rattle off your honorable mentions.
Oh, that's so no. Fine. The Imprisoned, Bato, the Water Tribe, Fortune Teller, and then Siege of the North, part 1 and 2, and then the Waterbending Master.
Okay. Mine were the Southern Air Temple.
It's a good one.
Really like that one because that's the first time that Zuko and Aang are paralleled as basically being isolated in their own way. The Deserter, the one where they find that deserting Firebender Master.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent episode.
That's a good one.
Jet was on my list. Winter Solstice was on my list.
That's a good one, too.
And then the Waterbending Master.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very good. We won't get... They're just honorable mentions, so we don't have to talk about them. We can possibly make a part 2.
But I have my favorite of my honorable mentions, and it's definitely the waterbending one.
We
can talk about it since it's on both of our lists.
How long has this been recording?
I don't know.
Hold up. You can see, right? Hold up.
146. So we got time.
An hour and 46 minutes.
Okay, so really quick.
I'm already. This is going to be 2 hours. I'm going to have to break this up into a part 1, part 2. No one's going to sit for 2 hours listening to us because this has already been, I'm just going to say, this has already been this is clearly a rough draft episode because we're going to have to structure. I love doing this. We're going to have to structure a little bit more. I'm just saying.
Okay, so the water bending.
Okay, come on, let's just dive into it. Just dive into the water.
It's such a good episode. I love this episode.
Lucy's like,
it's amazing.
Lucy's like, you're only allowed to pick 5. She's like, 6, 7.
6.
Okay, let's talk about it real quick because this is one that I thought would be on your list.
Because it's so amazing. It's such a
good
good episode. Like,
man, you like those women empowerment episodes.
You could say that.
Why a feminist? Jeez.
She is just so great. And I love that they get there and they're both just hype as fuck. They're like, we're both going to learn waterbending. This is going to be dope. It's going to be so great. And he's like, no. And she is just so defeated.
They have a different culture here.
She is just so defeated. But she's like, no, I have to let Aang, and this is where like that mother warrior complex starts to divide a little bit.
I gotta let Aang do his thing.
Because I have to let Aang learn. I have to let him do this. But then Aang's like, I want to learn with Katara, you know, and I'm traveling with her, so she should know. So then he's teaching her.
Proven herself.
So he's teaching her in secret. Then it goes against the whole like
culture.
The whole
You're not
culture.
allowed to do this.
Can't do this. Da 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 da. And then you find, you know, and then she said, well, I'm not going to teach the Avatar anymore. And then she's like, well, the fuck you're not. Yes, you are. Well, and if you're not, then you're going to fight me.
Well, yeah,
like,
no, so a little more into that is, what is it? The guy's real smug.
Oh, hella.
He's real smug. I can't remember
smug.
his name, but he goes, I'll consider teaching the Avatar again if you you know, apologize to me and my greatness. And as soon, because she was walking up there. Well, she was walking up there with full intentions of, okay, I'll apologize and we'll get Aang back on track. We have to do this. Fate of the world is over here. But then he says, well,
I know.
if you do this. And as soon as he says that, she's like, fight me.
Fuck you.
Fight me. Literally like, I'm not doing it.
Nope.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Like, and she literally goes outside, twists herself into the ice, and is like, bring it, bitch.
I'm not
doing this. Like, and then he won't fight her. So then she just starts attacking him.
Yeah, she's just like...
She's like, no, I am fighting you, and you are going to fight me right now.
I like the little interaction halfway through their fight. He's just like, you're better than I imagined. And she goes, you still won't teach me? He goes, no.
Exactly.
So and she just goes like,
She just flips out. And then And then you find out, lo and behold, that Graham was
Katara doesn't sugarcoat it either.
No.
She's just like, yeah, Gran left because you were an idiot. Like,
You're a moron.
like, that's like, she does not sugarcoat it.
And then, they're fighting.
How she phrased it, she goes, yeah, Gran left because of your stupid customs or something like that, where it's just like, damn.
Like that, hit on the nose there. But yeah, they do that, and then she's attacking. Of course, she eventually gets subdued by him because he is a master.
He's a grandmaster.
But she has skill and talent, and is
a lot of potential,
and it has a ton of potential. And then the only reason he stops is because he sees that necklace. He's like, I carved this necklace, and she's like, give that back to me.
Well, it's good because it puts him through a small. I mean, he's a minor character, but it
It's
puts
a
him through a
small
little
arc.
bit of an arc
A
because
small
he's
arc.
already lost one person.
Yep.
To his old customs and everything,
Yep.
and he's on the brink of losing his,
Granddaughter, potentially.
potential granddaughter that could have been.
Yep.
And, I imagine he doesn't have any, like, friends or family or anything like that, so it's just like you're on the verge of losing someone else that can give your life a lot of meaning.
Yep.
Because of the same reason, don't make the same mistake twice. And he doesn't, which
doesn't.
is nice.
He doesn't. He comes around, and then they fight.
But I do like that in this one they also bring up the healing factor. Did it do it again?
Yes.
Of course it did it again. Rough draft episode. Oh my god.
Oh my god. No, but the healing does get a lot more attention.
One, I like the idea that water heals.
Which it should.
Before, but I like that it's like, oh yeah, women are healers in our village, and I like that she goes to a class or two because later in the season she uses her healing powers for different things, and it's just like, no, it's a nice little detail where she picked that up, but she also picked up how to be a badass and a good bender. So she picked up two things while she was there. She really made the most of her trip.
Yeah,
Are you on your phone right now?
I'm thinking.
Me and my homie.
Do you see this? Do you see this process?
I see the steam. Yeah.
I would agree with you, and they do hit on that a little bit at the beginning.
She's unenthusiastic about learning it, but she does learn it.
She does,
and it pays off because she heals multiple people throughout the series.
She does,
and she's the only one who can do that.
And they do put a good bit of that in the sense of like, yes, fighting is important, but healing is really important too.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that, which ends up helping down the road with the spirit water.
Yep, exactly.
So it's like,
I think it plays well into her character of
like the caregiver.
She just wants, she's the caregiver. She wants to help people. She wants to.
And she doesn't like it when she sees people hurting, and and she learned a little bit of that healing and stuff. I think when she was at the other tribe, right when she was back home.
Did she? I can't remember.
Because
I just remember the scene where they're practicing on that dummy.
Yeah.
And
they're moving it
north.
around.
Yeah.
Right. And they tell her, and she's in the class with all these really young kids.
Yes, exactly. So I like that. I mean, because she would have never gotten that training because, she grew up as the last waterbender in her tribe. So I don't even think her grand could have taught it to her.
Yeah, maybe not. I just thought I remembered her doing some healing, like just really light healing before.
Yes, and that's what I was about to say. In the Deserter, when Aang accidentally burns her,
right?
She puts her hands in the water and she unknowingly heals herself. It was like her body's natural response to being burned.
This is what I can do.
And she didn't even know she could heal.
Yep.
But she learned to heal others while she was at the other pole. But the Deserter,
which is a very, that's a very, very important skill.
Yes, I agree. So there it is. There it is. I'm gonna have to probably break this up in two parts, unless maybe I'm gonna try and edit this one.
Editing practice,
We're
baby.
gonna see how it goes.
Yeah, baby.
We're gonna find out. But
But yeah, there it is.
I would say that's 2 hours of solid content.
That's 2
for
hours of
the
content.
First
I'm gonna have to
season.
rewatch it. It feels like we went on a little bit of tangent sometimes, but I'm not gonna know till I rewatch it.
I'm sure there's a tangent or two.
We're gonna have to just structure it a little bit. But
I'm sure there's a tangent or two. Like you and I could talk about Azula forever.
it's not till season 2. I'm not even gonna start.
I know.
I'm not even gonna start.
But Azula, baby.